This is Layer 2 of Silent Hill Monsters. Abstract Daddy. Abstract Daddy is a monster appearing in Silent Hill 2. It is first encountered as a boss fight in the Labyrinth, later resurfacing as a less durable enemy type in the hallways of Lakeview Hotel and the Other World. Seen from the point of view of James Sunderland, it serves as both an abstract manifestation of Angela Orozco's sexual trauma and the memories of James's terminally ill wife. Growing up as a child, Angela suffered horrific sexual abuse from her father and her brother. Timid and severely traumatized as a result, Angela eventually stabbed her father in the throat after a failed attempt to run away from home. However, her actions left her in an intense state of guilt and self-blame. As she contemplated Sudoku, her damaged psyche drew her to the town of Silent Hill, Maine, where the darkest points of her psyche were manifested into monsters and nightmarish delusions made real by the town. Masahiro has talked a bit about the appearance and symbolism of the abstract daddy, and this is what he had to say. Only Angela knows what she sees, her abstract daddy. James, players, and I can't see what she sees. We're on the James side. And who can say abstract daddy, which James sees, is the same as hers? The meaning of the two frames containing humanoid torsos encased in stretched skin in the Lakeview Hotel staircase is synchronized with the meaning of the abstract daddy. The figures in the frames represent Angela's father and brother. It's possible that James saw the staircase itself differently from Angela. Only encountered in the Other World, Abstract Daddy is a creature resembling two figures intertwined in an intimate posture. To be precise, they are in a reclining sexual position over a bed frame, trapped in this position by the flesh covering its body. It is a manifestation of the trauma Angela sustained from the sexual abuse by her father and brother, seen abstractly through the psyche of James Sunderland. The lower sphere head of the monster represents Angela and the pain that was inflicted on her. Because it was manifested from her subconscious, James does not see it in the same way that she does. Creature designer Masahiro added that James would never know drowning her in the sea of flame. To James, the frame of the creature was influenced by his memories of Mary when she was bedridden. Mary is his wife. This contributed to it resurfacing in Lakeview Hotel, where the two of them had stayed on vacation before her disease. Although Masahiro chooses to leave Angela's version of the abstract daddy to the player's imagination, he believes that it is more disturbing than what James thought. He stated that if they depicted the monster from her perspective, she would not have been as fascinating as a character. Bubblehead Nurse. Bubblehead Nurse are monsters appearing in Silent Hill 2. The spin-offs Silent Hill, The Escape in Silent Hill, Book of Memories, and Bluebird Team Silent Hill 2, which is the remake. They are first encountered when James Sunderland enters Brookhaven Hospital after coming to Silent Hill, Maine, in search of his deceased wife. They can be seen both in the hospital and the streets of South Vale. When James Sunderland reaches Brookhaven Hospital in search of his late wife Mary, he is stalked by the Bubblehead nurses for the duration of his stay. When the town cycles into the other world, the equivalent of REM sleep in this reality state, a more demonic variation of the nurse surfaces, and they continue to stalk him until he reaches the Silent Hill Historical Society. Masahiro also speaks about these Bubblehead nurses, saying, "When I worked on designing creatures in Silent Hill 2, I really made them have their each meaning of appearance on the true reason of James's journey. because they are something like illusions from his subconscious, not only creatures to take the score. The Bubblehead Nurse is a female humanoid creature roughly the same height as Mary Sunderland that appears in the local Brookhaven Hospital nurse uniform. Their heads are wrapped in a thin vinyl mask containing a semi-liquid covering the surface of their face. The liquid-trapped mask gives the head a swollen appearance reminiscent of Mary's swollen head during her illness and hospitalization. The bottom center of the mask takes the shape of an infant's face, sometimes obscured by a red square covered in dry dirt or blood tied to the save points in the 9 red squares that James encounters at the end of the game. The nurses are seen constantly twitching and jittering as they suffocate and attempt to shake the liquid-filled masks off their head. The baby face symbolizes James and Mary's desire for a child. The suffocation that the nurses experience is also representative of James's subconscious memory of soothing Mary with a pillow. The red squares covering the mouth symbolize shrieking insanity, particularly Mary's anger and verbal abuse against James. This motive was continued in Silent Hill 3. A dirtier brown-tinted variant of the nurses can be seen in the other world, wearing tattered clothing, a mask with spikes driven through it, and a protrusion coming from the back and shoulder. According to the creature designer Masahiro, this variant of the nurse was a last-minute addition to the game, so the symbolism being it wavers slightly. However, it serves as a metaphor for Mary on her sick bed. Despite fan speculation, the protrusion is in no way connected to the parasite or puppet nurses from the original game. Masahiro clarified that the design of the nurse reflects James's subconscious and not Mary's feelings. Creeper. The Creeper is an insectoid monster appearing in Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 2. If you did watch Silent Hill 1, you would remember that this is one of them. They are encountered by Harry Mason when the town of Silent Hill was transfigured by Elisa's psychic powers. They are hostile to humans, moving with great speed and reacting strongly to light. After the collapse of Elisa's other world, the power of the town intensified to the point of manifesting the unconscious minds of ordinary people. By the time James Sunderland came to Silent Hill in search of his late wife, the Creepers could still be seen throughout the town. The Creepers were adapted into Silent Hill, the arcade, and the 2006 film adaptation. In Silent Hill 1, the Creeper appears as a large cockroach-like insect with 3 pairs of legs and 2 long antennae from the back. In Silent Hill 2, the Creeper is slightly smaller with a stronger green tinge to its body, and the 2 antenna-like tails on its back are absent. It makes both a low chirp and a sound like the squeaking of a small wheel. The Creeper is a manifestation of Elisa's obsession and dislike of insects. But the Creepers are not among the 9 monsters manifested from James Sunderland's psyche, which is symbolized by the 9 red squares, but were instead included by Masahiro as a homage to the first game. Fleshlip. Fleshlip is a monster appearing in Silent Hill 2. Creature designer Masahiro created the design and animations, taking inspiration from Izumu Noguchi's State Death lynched figure and the photograph Man with No Legs by Joel Peter Witkin. Since its debut, Fleshlip has appeared in the 2012 spin-off Silent Hill Book of Memories and in the Patchy Slot and 2024 video game adaptation of Silent Hill 2. James Sunderland vacationed to Silent Hill, Maine with his wife Mary before she contracted a terminal illness. After her death 3 years later, he returned to the town under the delusion that she might somehow still be alive, waiting for him there. His subconscious thoughts were manifested into physical form, and he encountered 9 figures on his journey, represented by the 9 red squares, among them being a creature called Fleshlip. He was flanked by 3 of them in Brookhaven Hospital and was able to fend them off before transitioning to the other world. Flesh-Lip is a creature bound to a grid-like lattice with a mouth located on its abdomen. Encountered in a hospital, it represents Jane's memory of Mary in her sick bed. Its flesh is reminiscent of broken skin similar to Mary's disease. The lattice evokes a bed frame and imagery of Misty Day, Remains of the Judgment, a painting that resonated with James during their vacation to Silent Hill. Mouth is a recurring motive in the creature's design. Mary verbally abused James during her illness, so the mouths on the creatures represent her inner turmoil and verbal attacks. None of the monsters in Silent Hill 2 have mouths until Flesh-Lip appears, after which every creature introduced has a mouth. Flesh-Lip is a more abstract representation of the vision of Mary that James confronts in the game's climax. She transforms into a sickly creature that hangs upside down from a similar lattice. James knows that he should remember killing her, but actively suppresses the memory in Brookhaven Hospital. Lying Figure. Lying figures are humanoid monsters appearing in Silent Hill 2. It is the first creature that James Sunderland encounters in his journey through Silent Hill, Maine. Masahiro was inspired by BDSM fashion and the movements of a co-worker in a hoodie were adapted as the Armless Man in the 2006-2012 film series and have appeared in comics, the art film Fukuro, and Bluebird Team's retelling of Silent Hill 2. James Sunderland and his wife Mary toured Silent Hill while on vacation. Afterwards, Mary fell into a terminal illness and over the next 3 years experienced a turbulent marriage, crippling symptoms, and hospitalizations. Following her eventual demise, James received a letter from Silent Hill in her handwriting, claiming to be from her. In denial about the circumstances of her death, James traveled back to the town to investigate. There he fell into a paranormal dream state known as the Fog World, which manifested aspects of his unconscious mind into physical form, as we already know. Upon entering South Vale, he discovered a trail of blood smeared across the streets and a silhouette wandering in the distance. He followed the trail to a tunnel, where he was shocked to discover a lying figure lingering in the darkness. He beat it to death in the confrontation and returned to find scores of them now loitering the streets. He encountered more in the buildings and other areas before reaching Brookhaven Hospital. After the town transitioned to the other world, lying figures were present in the Labyrinth Luca prison and were later seen again in Lakeview Hotel. Maria fought through several of them before meeting James in Rosewater Park. Now, for people who don't know who Mary is to James, this is where we get into it, and I wanted to add this because while I was trying to explain it to my dear mother, she got very confused. So, this is what that is. Maria is not a real person, but a complex manifestation of James's subconscious, representing his ideal and sexualized fantasy of his deceased wife, Mary. She embodies James's guilt over murdering Mary, his sexual frustrations during her illness, and his desire for a companion. Maria's purpose is to tempt James, distract him from the truth of his actions, and challenge him psychologically, only to be killed repeatedly by Pyramid Head and reborn as a more jaded and antagonistic being to torment him. The town of Silent Hill brings to life James's repressed thoughts, desires, and guilt, and Maria is a prime example of this. Maria's provocative appearance and seductive demeanor represent James's suppressed sexual desires and his guilt for killing his wife. Maria also serves as a dark reflection of Mary, but one who is more confident, assertive, and willing to engage with James in a way the real Mary couldn't due to her illness. While Maria shares similarities with Mary, she is intentionally designed to be different. with revealing clothes and a flirtatious personality that contrasts Mary's modest nature. Maria occasionally displays fragments of Mary's memories, like mentioning Laura, indicating a connection to Mary's past. As physical manifestations of James Sunderland's subconscious, the lion figures are among the 9 creatures tied to the 9 red squares. The creature's upper torso is a body bag, the sign of a corpse, from which it writhers from side to side. Its movements represent a hospital patient squirming in agony, and the creatures were born from James's feelings of confinement. The name "lion figure" refers to both Mary's corpse and Mary in her sick bed. When James came into contact with the first lion figure, he had no conscious memory of how Mary really died. But according to Masahiro, he vaguely remembered driving to Silent Hill with a corpse in the backseat of his car. In the Born from a Wish scenario, Maria is observed to be able to see James's other world and monsters being a manifestation of the subconscious herself. Mandarin. Mandarins are creatures appearing in Silent Hill 2. James Sunderland killed his wife Mary after 3 years of hospitalizations and battling a terminal illness, during which she verbally abused him in her struggle. Distraught with guilt, he buried the memory and traveled to Silent Hill, Maine, under the delusion that she might still be alive and waiting for him there. His subconscious thoughts were manifested into physical form upon arrival, and he was confronted by several creatures throughout his journey, including mandarins, which assaulted him underneath floored grates in Soul Street, the Labyrinth, and Lakeview Hotel. Mandarins only appear in the other world. They hang from mesh gratings by the tips of their thick-sectioned pad-like forearms, attacking James with tentacles protruding from orifices resembling a human mouth. The mouth represents Mary's inner turmoil and anger. Mandarins are manifestations of anguish and James's desire to escape. For this reason, they are not permitted to stand above ground. Mannequin. Mannequins are creatures appearing in Silent Hill 2. Masahiro took inspiration from Japanese folklore when developing the design. James Sunderland killed his wife Mary after 3 years of hospitalization after battling a terminal illness, during which she verbally abused him in her struggle. Distraught with guilt, he buried the memory and traveled to Silent Hill, Maine, under the delusion that she might still be alive, waiting for him there. His subconscious thoughts were manifested into physical form upon arrival, and he was confronted by several creatures throughout his journey, including mannequins, which react strongly to light and stand completely still until approached. The mannequins appear as sets of upper and lower legs bound to an intermediate torso, resembling that of a mannequin dummy. They lack a fully human appearance because James refuses to remember who they represent or what he did to his late wife. The creatures bear leg braces on each set of their legs, which are similar to the phenolic orthosis that Mary needed to walk during her illness. The creatures have tubes on their abdomens, which are also owed to James's memories of the hospital. The mannequins are among the 9 delusions James faces throughout the story, symbolized by the 9 red squares, as we've been talking about. They represent his natural urges and inclinations and memories belonging to a hospital. As with other monsters in the game that manifest from Sunderland's psyche, they are executed and tortured by Pyramid Head. These are the acts of his mind attempting to erase the delusions and force him to remember the reality of his actions. Members from the game's creative team, such as Hiroyuki Awaku and Takayoshi Sato, took inspiration from Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theories during development. Because the mannequin was influenced by Sunderland's inner sexuality, the movements of Pyramid Head killing 2 mannequins in Woodside Apartments were designed to appear erotic. Although it does not actually represent R-word or sexual intercourse, the Silent Hill 2 novelization states that the creatures were born from lust. Mary, boss. Mary is the final boss of Silent Hill 2 and is encountered after climbing a metal stairwell at the end of the Fog World Lakeview Hotel. James Sunderland encounters either a manifestation of Mary Shepard Sunderland or Maria in the form of Mary in the game's final scenes, depending on the player's actions throughout the game. In the Leave, In Water, and Rebirth endings, James rejects Maria and this causes her to transform. In the Maria ending, Mary is angry about James needing Maria and blames him for her death and then proceeds to attack him, initiating the boss fight. However, it is ambiguous if this truly is Mary. When Mary was ill, she had overwhelming feelings of anger, sorrow, pain, loneliness, helplessness, denial, and a deep disgust with her body due to the disease. She felt that her predicament was unfair. As Mary had said in her letter, when I first learned that I was going to die, I just didn't want to accept it. Mary had been conflicted and confused about her true feelings. She would express her vacillation between wanting and not wanting to die. She would also violently lash out at James, as does this boss. The metal lattice could also symbolize Mary's sense of confinement then, in her having been invalidated and bedridden. Mary can use the tentacle to strangle James, similarly to how he asphyxiated her. The monster wears some sort of tight headgear, meaning her hair isn't visible. This could symbolize Mary's hair loss caused by the disease. The nun's habit-like hood may reference Mary and Jane's state of forced celibacy due to her illness. The monster wears a dress that is very similar to what the bobblehead nurse wears, possibly referencing Mary's hospitalization. In turn, James had become likewise conflicted and confused about his true feelings, concerning whether or not he still loved Mary or could still love her. How properly he had been acting toward Mary during her illness by barely visiting her in the hospital. How hard he had looked in trying to find her a cure, if he could live life without her, etc. To add on to this, James killed Mary prematurely by suffocating her with a pillow, raising even more philosophical questions and confusion. In the Maria ending, Mary guilt-tripped James, indicating that the monster is also symbolic of James's guilt. In all of the endings except the Maria ending, the boss actually is Maria, meaning that the boss is also probably symbolic of Maria to a certain extent, and may symbolize some of Maria's own feelings. In essence, the boss could symbolize the duality and dual nature between Mary and Maria. It could also represent Maria's anger and frustration towards James for rejecting her. Despite this, the boss is simply called Mary in the Book of Last Memories, likely referencing James's confusion between Mary and Maria, since throughout Silent Hill 2, James often mistakes Maria as Mary. He even does this in some of the ending routes, like the cutscene before the boss, not the actual ending itself. In the Maria ending, the boss identifies herself as Mary and mentions Maria as a separate person. Despite this, it's not entirely clear that the monster is in fact Mary. During the ending cutscene after killing the monster, James says to himself, "That wasn't Mary. Mary's gone. That was just something He doesn't complete the sentence, leading to various different interpretations. Theories range from the monster being a complete hallucination that James imagined in his depressed state, to a physical manifestation of James's guilt created by the dark magic of Silent Hill, to it actually still being Maria and simply deceiving James again in order to torture him. As shown in Born from a Wish, Maria possesses some of Mary's memories. She appears as a version of Mary's deceased corpse displayed in a metal frame similar to the flesh lip, likely referencing Mary's hospitalization. She is suspended in the metal frame, screaming and upside down. The frame has sharp spikes at the end, referencing Mary's pain and suffering. Mary wears some sort of triangular hood restricting her head movement. The hood is inspired by that of a presumably Christian nun and appears attached to her frame, as if she is unable to escape from it. The hood also has a massive long dark tentacle which Mary can use to strangle James. According to the Book of Lost Memories, Mary's form represents and embodies James's conflicted emotions towards Mary during her final days. Prisoner. The Prisoner is an unseen creature appearing in Toluca Prison in Silent Hill 2. It is located in a cell block, its voice resounding in repetition. Although the radio does not emit static in their presence, the Book of Lost Memories nonetheless identifies it as a monster. Although the player cannot physically see them, this does not stop James from readying a weapon, attacking, and even killing a monster using a firearm. However, they are completely harmless, and James is not in danger from the creatures whatsoever. They emit a very human-like cry if killed. And finally, to end it all off, Pyramid Head. I have one behind me. Red Pyramid Thing, more colloquially known as Pyramid Head, is a humanoid monster in the Silent Hill franchise, first appearing in Silent Hill 2. His red helmet and butcher's attire echo the executioners of the town's past, who worship the angel of rebirth, Valtiel. He is a manifestation of James's guilt and desire for punishment, existing to keep him human and help him remember his past actions. The monster wields the great knife and the great spear, instruments of James's inner torment. By the end of the game, a second Pyramid Head manifests. Deep criticism from Masahiro and Tom Houellebecq, the character was reimagined in Silent Hill Homecoming as the Boogeyman, aka the Shadowed One, a creature of vengeance and justice who inflicts punishment on those who deserve it. The films and novels have extended his role to that of a protector and servant of Valtiel. Since its creation, Pyramid Head has become one of the most well-known and iconic monsters in the franchise, turning into something of a mainstream and flagship figurehead for the series. Apart from Silent Hill 2 and Homecoming, Pyramid Head has made his main appearances in the spin-off Silent Hill the Arcade and Silent Hill Book of Memories, with cameo appearances in Silent Hill Origins and Silent Hill Downpour. He also appears in the film Silent Hill and Silent Hill Revelation, the comics, the novel Silent Hill Betrayal, and the Silent Hill Pashislot. Before Silent Hill 2, Masahiro would reveal why he created Valtiel. I created Valtiel because I wanted to relate the warrants of the series through a creature. In the religion of Silent Hill, Valtiel exists as one who is close to God, and Pyramid Head takes the shape of Valtiel's reason for existence. That is to say, the Pyramid Head character was born from the town's people's idolatrous ideologies. There is a supernatural power that surrounds Silent Hill, Maine, that has the ability to manifest elements of the unconscious mind. In the early history of the town, Native Americans used this to seemingly communicate with both nature and their dead relatives. Their land was eventually stolen from them by European settlers. Because of the town's power, a mysterious cult began to form that took control over much of its infrastructure. One of the deities they worship is Valtiel, who serves as an angel of rebirth and a being close to God who has appeared in many forms throughout the town's history. The cult began performing ritualistic executions, wearing red hoods and an executioner's outfit modeled after him. Right before Mary Shepard Sunderland contracted a lethal disease 3 years before the events of Silent Hill 2, she and her husband James visited the town of Silent Hill on vacation. One of the locations they visited was the Silent Hill Historical Society, which contained paintings and artifacts relating to the executioners of the town's past. One such painting in particular, Misty Day Remains of the Judgment, which is the stylized portrayal of an execution standing among caged corpses, and this painting would be stuck in James' mind. Masahiro talks about Pyramid Head's hand creation, saying the hand of Pyramid Head has 2 reasons. Pyramid Head has no face, so he expressed his will and emotion by hand. The index finger is separate from the others, is very convenient to operate by CG tools, In Silent Hill 2 is a PS2 game. We add a limit to the number of polygons. Shaping around the fingers is able to reduce polygons than to make each finger. Pyramid Head is the figure of James' guilt and torment manifesting from the part of his mind that desires punishment. He is described as a distorted memory of the executioners by Takayoshi Sato, who explains that Silent Hill was once a town of executions. Most of the people living there were either executioners themselves or family to an executioner. A reflection of James, the monster is a masculine humanoid who takes an appearance similar to the executioners of the town's cult, with a red, rusted, pyramid-shaped helmet over his head, donning butcher's wardrobe, leather boots, and white executioner gloves. James' Pyramid Head's shoulders stand at the same height. There is a mark on the back of his garment where the cloth is stitched together, which is a similarity he shares with Valtiel. Exposed on the back end of the helmet is a bubble-shaped protrusion, the purpose of which is to seal the gap between his neck and the helmet. Both the protrusion of the right side of his helmet are made of a substance similar to a dried canvas. Some action figures have depicted it as inhuman flesh lining the bottom of the helmet, but this design is not accurate. Masahiro elaborated, Gecko's PH statue did the underneath of the helmet. I just put the bulge on the back of the neck of Silent Hill 2's Pyramid Head, not the underneath. It's so annoying. The front of the helmet is an iron plate. Underneath it is a tongue-like flesh that Pyramid Head uses when attacking James and other monsters. The bottom left corner of the plate will peel up, allowing for the tongue to slither out of the helmet. Masahiro used this to subtly convey that the monsters are James' delusion, since it's impossible for iron to bend. Action figures in Silent Hill Book of Memories have portrayed the helmet with a hole on the bottom left corner. This too is erroneous. The hole only appears on the designs of the white helmeted versions of Pyramid Head seen in Fururu and White Hunter, which are not connected to James or Silent Hill. Masahiro designed Pyramid Head with the in-water ending of Silent Hill 2 in mind. His great knife does not manifest until after James picks up the knife that Angela Orozco was planning to off herself with, taking the shape of half of a pair of scissors. The intention was for James to find the other half of the scissors being a second great knife in the labyrinth, symbolizing the connection between him and Pyramid Head. However, Masahiro did not have time to insert a distinct version of the great knife into the game for James, so the player is only able to obtain the knife that Pyramid Head was using. Pyramid Head exists to keep James human and help him realize that he is guilty, often attacking other monsters to fulfill his role. The scene where James hides in the closet from Pyramid Head abusing the mannequins represents the conflict in his mind. His fear of facing his inner demons manifested itself as Pyramid Head attacking other monsters to remove the visions from his psyche. Pyramid Head's abuse of the monsters was intentionally eroded by the development team. As Sato explained, psychological horror has to shake a human's heart deeply. Shaking people's hearts deeply means uncovering people's core emotions and their core motivation for life. Everybody's thinking and concerned about intercourse and health and death, everything. If we want to scare, shake, or touch the users or spectators, then we have to think about intercourse and death deeply. To make like a death scene, somebody died or monsters died, we try to mix erotic essence. This is kind of a visual and a core concept. Pyramid Head's constant murder of a reincarnating Maria is also his attempt to wake James up from his delusions and force him to remember his past actions. Pyramid offs himself because his purpose for existing has been finished.
In my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place, waiting for you. Waiting for you to come to see me. But you never do. And so I wait, wrapped in my cocoon of pain and loneliness. I know I've done a terrible thing to you, something you'll never forgive me for. I wish I could change that, but I can't. I feel so pathetic and ugly laying here, waiting for you. Every day I stare up at the cracks in the ceiling, and all I can think about is how unfair it all is. The doctor came today. He told me I could go home for a short stay. It's not that I'm getting better. It's just that this may be my last chance. I think you know what I mean. Even so, I'm glad to be coming home. I've missed you terribly. But I'm afraid, James. I'm afraid you don't really want me to come home. Whenever you come see me, I can tell how hard it is on you. I don't know if you hate me or pity me, or maybe I just disgust you. I'm sorry about that. When I first learned that I was going to die, I just didn't want to accept it. I was so angry all the time, and I struck out at everyone I loved most. Especially you, James. That's why I understand if you do hate me. But I want you to know this, James. I'll always love you. Even though our life together had to end like this, I still wouldn't trade it for the world. We had some wonderful years together. Well, this letter has gone on too long, so I'll say goodbye. I told the nurse to give this to you after I'm gone. That means that as you read this, I'm already dead. I can't tell you to remember me, but I can't bear for you to forget me. These last few years since I became ill, I am so sorry for what I did to you, did to us. You've given me so much, and I haven't been able to return a single thing. That's why I want you to live for yourself now. Do what's best for you, James. James, you made me happy.